What's going on, YouTube? This is your guy, UngarToTheMax here. Salute! Coming at you with a sports vlog and the Cavaliers game preview. So there are 4 big games in both the NHL and NBA combined. 2 in the NBA, 2 in the NHL. In the NBA, 1 game is going on right now. Game 4 of the Eastern Conference semifinals from Philadelphia between the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers. The 76ers are trying to avoid getting swept. And then on the NHL side, it will be Game 6 of the Eastern Conference semifinals between the Washington Capitals and the Pittsburgh Penguins, with the Capitals trying to eliminate the Penguins. Wait, correction, the back-to-back Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins. And then in the nightcap, it will be Game 6 in the Western Conference semifinals from Bell MTS Center in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, where the Winnipeg Jets will try and close out the defending Western Conference champion Nashville Predators in Game 6. Oh, by the way, the Penguins and Capitals will be at PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And the Celtics and 76ers game is at Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That arena will always be special to me, because on March 2nd, 2018, I was able to watch the 76ers intro pyrotechnics, which was only fire. But that might not sound big, but for 21 years, I had not been able to do that. I still can't watch the Cavaliers player introductions, but that's a huge step forward. To be able to watch the 76ers fire and player introductions. So I will always remember March 2nd, 2018. In fact, it will, from this point on, March 2nd, 2018 will be a personal holiday for myself. Now, you might have noticed that I left the game out, and that I'm wearing a particular team. Duh! It's Game 4 of the Eastern Conference semifinals from Quicken Loans Arena between the Toronto Raptors and your Cleveland Cavaliers, in which, like the Boston Celtics, we will try to sweep the Toronto Raptors. Might I add that the Raptors are the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs. They got a franchise record 59 wins, which is a mistake I corrected from my last video where I said they won 56 wins, or they got 56 wins. So I accidentally took 53 wins away from them, but I'm giving them back. But not only that, the Raptors changed how they play. They have started shooting more threes. They made other changes, all in an effort to beat us. And guess what? It hasn't worked. The last time the Raptors beat us in a playoff game, you gotta go back to Game 4 of the 2016 Eastern Conference Finals. Since then, Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 6 Eastern Conference Finals, Game 1, 2017 Eastern Conference Semifinals, Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Semifinals, Game 3 Eastern Conference Semifinals, Game 4 Eastern Conference Semifinals, Game 1 of the 2018 Eastern Conference Finals, Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Semifinals, and Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Semifinals. All have been Cavaliers wins. So that's 9 straight wins against the Raptors in the playoffs for us. And we will be going for our 10th win tonight and looking to sweep the Raptors out of the playoffs again. So, something interesting about the fourth quarter from Game 3, which is that Dwayne Casey, the head coach of the Raptors, did not put DeMar DeRozan into the ball game. And that's partially because Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet seem to be working well together as a backcourt. Lowry was heated up big time. Now that's partially because Tyronn Lue made a silly decision to switch Kevin Love onto him, which in the past that worked with, for example, in the 2016 NBA Finals when Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love would switch onto Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry. But it doesn't quite work now. And yes, we got bailed out in Game 3 by a LeBron James shot at the end. I'll admit that. And we did not play our best game. But, but, we will play better. By the way, did you know that today is a holiday? It's National Sweep Toronto Day. Yeah. It's Sweep Toronto Day. So to all my Cavaliers fans out there, happy Sweep Toronto Day. But Kevin Love's been playing, seems to have found his groove a little bit. And it's interesting because how are we going to counter... Kevin Love, yes, he likes to shoot threes. And that's where the NBA is now with stretch fours. But I still think Kevin Love needs to put his butt down low and try and score in the paint. Because if he can establish an inside game, he can slowly bring the defender out and then start establishing the outside game. But don't do that right away. Because I think, in my opinion, if you try and do the reverse where you start outside and go inside, I'm not sure that's going to work well. Whereas with Tristan Thompson, he can't shoot threes. So, it's a good balance. Wait. Actually, strike that. Reverse it. That's a reference to the Willy Wonka movies. But, actually, Kevin Love should start on the outside, because if you establish Tristan Thompson on the inside, and then you have Kevin Love on the outside, that could create driving lanes for J.R. Smith, LeBron, and George Hill. But Toronto did something interesting to start Game 3. They took Serge Ibaka out of the starting lineup and did a three-guard lineup. Fred VanVleet, DeMar DeRozan, and Kyle Lowry, which helped Toronto, and Ibaka played well off the bench. So, I'll be curious, how do we counter that tonight? Are we going to change our starting lineup at all? Or are we going to stay with the same starting lineup of George Hill, J.R. Smith, Kyle Korver, LeBron James, and Kevin Love? Which, I'm not sure I love the idea of Kevin Love being at the center. But as long as we're winning, hey, I'm fine with it. But again, I'm not a huge fan of it. I kind of would prefer if Tristan Thompson were playing center, because in Game 7 against Indiana, that's part of the reason why we won that game. But as of right now, having Kevin Love at the center position is working. So, although I'm not a fan of it, I'm going to continue to support it. It only makes sense. But Toronto hasn't really been able to utilize their bench. And I'm not sure why. Because they had the best bench in the NBA in going into the playoffs. And they used their bench very effectively against Washington. But for some reason, their bench hasn't really done anything against us. I'm not sure if it's our defense or if it's just their bench being ineffective. But it's going to be a competitive game tonight. I can guarantee you that. Because do you think Toronto wants to get swept? No. Do you think Toronto wants to get swept for a second straight year? No. But in the end, we're at home. Toronto hasn't beaten us in Cleveland for since God knows how long. Because we beat them in Game 3, beat them in both regular season home games last season. Yeah, beat them in Game 1, 2, and 5 in 2016, and won Game 1 and 2 in Cleveland last year. So I'm not sure the last time Toronto won in Cleveland, but it's not going to happen tonight. Cavaliers win, and we move on to the Eastern Conference Finals, where we will play the winner of Boston-Philadelphia. Most likely Boston. So that's going to do it for now. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, punch that like button like a UFC fighter. And punch that subscribe button. Until next time, this is UngarToTheMax signing off. Salute, go Cavs, go Jackets, and go Nova.